Okay, let's do the Elite Bloonarius. So this week we're playing on Park Path, which is well, we kind of need to do some adjustments to our strategy, right? Because Park Path works kind of differently than Monkey Meadow. So it's gonna be kind of the same thing, but we're gonna do some things that we didn't do in the previous run, and we're gonna play a little bit better this time. We're gonna buy a support temple for our VTSG later on, and some other interesting stuff. So first off, how are we starting? I'm gonna try and do a better job at explaining the farming and the towers this time because I'm still gonna cut the video in some parts because I don't want to make you guys watch 40 minutes of this. This took 41 minutes to beat. So I'm not gonna make you guys watch the entire thing. I'm gonna cut it up into a watchable video, and then I'm gonna do my best in explaining the farming and the towers that we're gonna be using. So obviously we're doing Ben because that's the farming hero, and as you guys can see here on the right, I'm placing the farm. We're starting off with the free Dark Monkey into Ben into a 000 farm, which is gonna be a 200 soon. Now, something that I'm doing is I'm kind of microing this little dark guy because I'm trying to be as efficient as possible. Now, you guys don't need to do this, and I'm also using Ben's ability whenever I can to do more damage. You guys don't have to do this, but, I just like doing this because I kind of want to be as efficient as possible and try and save up as much lives as possible and mana shield. So on the right side we have a 200 farm, and this guy, the banana farmer, has been, well, actually I'm going to mention it a little bit later when we buy the second farm, but you actually need to leave a little bit of space between these two banana farms because later on we're going to have a village there. So for now 002 and then a 003 Dark Monkey, and we're going to leave this guy like that. So we're not going to touch him. That said, he is going to be able to take care of these things for, I think, for at the start of the 20s or something like that. And so here's the thing that I previously mentioned. You need to leave a little bit of space in between these two farms. And the reason why you want to do this is because later on we're going to have a village here. We're going to have a Monkeyopolis village. So just make sure to leave a little bit of space between them. So what are we doing now? We're going for a 300 farm. We're going to upgrade one of them 300, and then we're going to do the next one. Now, obviously, I am, again, microing this guy. I'm trying to be as efficient as possible, sometimes even clicking the abilities, which, as I mentioned, you guys do not need to do. But then again, if you want to be kind of efficient, and let's say you don't have the road spikes at the end, let's say you don't have the mana shield, you would want to do this, or actually just upgrade the guy to 023. Like, that's $200, I know, but I'm trying to put all of my money into the banks, and that's why I'm kind of trying to save up as much as possible. But you can just do a 023 dart and you're gonna be fine. Right farm is going to 300, and I'm gonna do the same thing for the left one, and soon-ish I'm gonna get a 002 boomerang. Okay, so we got a 002 boomerang, we upgraded our dart to 023, and we're getting another farm. This is a 200 farm that's going to be soon upgraded to 300. Now, we're kind of fine on the defense part, but we are going to need to start upgrading them. Well, actually only the boomerang up until round 40. So the main goal up until round 40 is going to be spending all of our money on 300 farms, and that is going to be the name of the game. And at around 34, I'm going to upgrade my boomerang to 302. So I'm just going to skip that part and I'll see you guys in a second. Okay, so here comes tier 1 Bloonarius, tier 1 Elite Bloonarius, and this guy releases ceramic balloons. So what do we need for ceramic balloons? Well, we'll need cleanup. And how do we get the cleanup? Well, through the boomerang that we previously placed. That's going to be a 402 boomerang. I'm giving him camo detection. And I'm going to buy a few more towers. But let me just quickly mention the amount of farms I have. I think 9 farms in total. It's 9 farms in total, and these are all 300 farms. And on the defense part, we are going to defend this guy with a Spike Storm, so I'm buying a 140 Spike. I also got a 204 Bomb Shooter. Everything is under a 320 Village, and I'm just going to use the abilities together. So I'm going to use Ben's ability in combination with the Spike Storm ability, and that is everything that we're going to need for this tier, that's tier 1 of Bloonarius. But I'm also going to place I think it's 302 or a 402. I think it was a 402 boomerang here towards the end. You guys are going to see in a second. And the reason is that we need a little bit of a cleanup because of the way that just the way that this track goes, right? So we need a little bit of a cleanup towards the end. So I'm going to place a 402 boomerang, and I'm going to sell it after we pop this tier because we need the money to buy more farms. And also, that's a very important thing. Don't forget to keep farming. Upgrade your farms to 420, And even if you are missing some cash, I mentioned this in the previous guide, but I'm going to mention it now as well. Don't be afraid to sell one of your tier 3 farms. Here comes the 402 boomerang, by the way. Don't be afraid to sell one of your tier 3 farms to buy a tier 4 farm, because those guys are much more efficient in farming. You're going to get the cash back very soon. So that was tier 1 Bloonarius. Tier 2 is coming up, so I'm just going to tell you guys more about the farming. So I'm going to sell these farms on the left, the tier 3 farms as I just mentioned, and I'm going to buy tier 4 farms. The total amount of farms that we're going to have is 6, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but we actually don't need that many, because that's just the way it is. Like, we don't need to overfarm this thing. So selling both of the guys on the left, both of the farms, I've got 6 420 farms, and now we need to defend the second tier Bloonarius. So tier 2 Elite Bloonarius releases BFBs, and so the issue is that we're by the way going for a MAD. If you guys haven't watched the previous video, this is kind of the same defense, but we're gonna do a couple of things differently now, so I'm gonna mention that later on. But for now, we're going for a MAD, so we're just waiting for our farms to make the money. We're not in any hurry because we have 20 rounds to deal with this thing, and it's honestly pretty easy to deal with him. So whenever we get the money, we're going to get the MAD, and that thing is just going to destroy it. Now, the issue that we're going to have with this tier specifically is that whenever he releases BFBs, the issue is that we can pop the BFBs, but we're going to need a little bit of help with the ceramics. And so the way that we deal with the ceramics is, as you guys can see, I'm placing a boomerang. So it's going to be a 402 boomerang here, because again, we need cleanup, but we need a lot more cleanup than we needed the last time, right? So getting a 402 boomerang on the left, and I'm going to be buying 2 more 204 bomb shooters, and this is just to clean up the ceramics. We have more than enough Moab damage, but we need some ceramic cleanup. So get a 204 bomb shooter, actually 2 in this case. One of the boomerangs, which is the one on the left, is a 402 boomerang, and that's all you need for this guy. Spam the ability, aim the MAD towards the Bloonarius, and that is going to be it. And this is pretty much an easy tier. This is one of the easier tiers, I guess. So not much to talk about here. We're just going to keep farming, and I'm going to talk about farming in the next tier, so before tier 3 starts. I'll see you guys in a second. Okay, tier 3 Bloonarius. Now, what do we need for this guy? Well, first off, let's talk about the farms. I sold my banana farmer and I bought the Monkeyopolis there, as you guys can see. So buy a new banana farmer and buy a 520 farm. Those are the things you're going to be going for. So get a Monkeyopolis, and after the Monkeyopolis, we're going for a 520 farm. We're going for a 025, so we're getting the Wall Street, and then we're just spamming a couple of 420 farms. And the reason why we want to buy 420 farms is because the 5th tier, actually the 520 buffs the 420 farm, so it makes them produce 25% more cash. So we're just trying to be efficient. So now there's something very interesting about our defense, which I need to mention. And that is that we are going to need to sell the support tower. So we're going to need to sell the Spike Factory, and we're going to sell the village. So let me just quickly explain what's happening over here. You guys can use a pontoon, by the way. I use the Arctic Wind trick, where you can place a tower on water if you have the Arctic Wind, or in this case, I fully upgraded to the absolute 0. And so what we're going for is a temple. So to beat tier 3 Elite Bloonarius, I'm using a temple, and I'm also going to be using a MAD. So the way that we do this is we want to have the max amount of DPS, and the way that you get the max amount of DPS is by sacrificing primary, magic, and military towers, over 50k out of all of them. And so you want to sell your support towers in range, which are the village and the Spike Factory, so that you can get all of these 3, and so that it doesn't interfere with the VTSG later on. So make sure to always sell your village and your Spike Factory before upgrading to the Sun Temple. And the towers that we sacrificed are the MAD, the Permabrew, which I bought, and I also bought a Glaive Lord, and I bought a Absolute 0, which is over 50k in all of those 3 categories. And after we got the Sun Temple, I'm just gonna rebuy the MAD. I rebought the Absolute 0, on which I'm placing the village in, and I'm just using the village ability, which is the Homeland Security ability. Now we have a lot of DPS right now, and these 2 towers are going to be able to deal with, and I also bought a Permabrew. So these towers are going to be able to deal with Bloonarius, and now our next concern is to farm a little bit more. Now we're not farming a ton, but we should buy, you guys should buy a couple more farms. So for example, I think I bought a total of like 5 more farms than I had. I bought 3 4-2-0s on the top left, and I bought 2 0-2-4s on the top side, and that is basically, I think that's all I'm gonna buy in terms of farming. So not that many farms as you would expect, right? So that is tier 4 Bloonarius, sorry, tier 3 Bloonarius. I'm gonna see you guys for tier 4, and we're gonna talk about strategy a little bit more. Okay, so tier 4 Bloonarius is, so tier 4 Elite Bloonarius, that's very important, right? So this guy is coming out and he's got 8 million HP. So how do we deal with this? Well, we need a VTSG. And the way that we get the VTSG is, well, you guys know it, but I'm just gonna mention the towers that I'm sacrificing. So I have the Absolute Zero and the Glaive Lord from the primaries. I have the village, the homeland village for the support towers. I have the Mad from the military towers, and I have the permabrew from the magic towers. And also make sure to have your other towers, your other 2 super monkeys, outside of the range of your initial super monkey. That's very important. So get this, get the VTSG, and that is going to be basically it. Now you guys are going to see me quit to the main menu in a second, and that is because the VTSG, even though it's the most powerful tower in the game, like this guy cannot see camo balloons, and I was having trouble placing the ice tower so that I could place the village, and so that's why I kind of needed to go back to the menu and continue again. But here we go, I'm going to do the same thing, gonna get the VTSG, and I'm gonna quickly buy the Absolute Zero. Again, no need for the Absolute Zero, but you know, I just bought it because why not? We have a lot of money, and now I got the village down, and we gave camo detection to the VTSG. So now that we have this tower, we're going for the same thing. Like the Mad is just an insanely good tower. So get the Mad, get the permabrew going, and at this point we're looking to buff our towers and buy some utility towers. We have more than enough money, and this is basically all you're gonna need. So I'm buying a sniper. This is gonna be a 502 sniper, which is gonna go on strong. I'm buying the 501 ice tower, which makes Moab class balloons take a lot more damage, and I'm also buying the 250 glue gunner, which when you use the ability it affects Moab class balloons, and again they take more damage. And also don't forget to buy the ultra boost and keep ultra boosting your VTSG. That's very important. You need to get this guy to 10 times as soon as possible, and that is just that. Another thing that you guys might have noticed is that I bought a sub here at the top right side, and the reason why I'm getting a sub, it's actually an energizer sub. And the reason why I'm doing that is because it gives cooldown reduction to, it gives 20% cooldown reduction to everything else that you have on the map. So every ability that you have, it's gonna get a 20% cooldown reduction on it. So that's very important because we want to get the ultra boost out as early as possible, and we also want to get, you know, we also want to spam our abilities right. Something that you also guys don't want to forget is to move around your super build, something that I kind of forgot to do, but I'm just mentioning it. I didn't need the DPS, and you guys won't need it because this is basically an overkill we're going to be doing, but that's totally fine. So next up, we're going for the Paragons. We're going for the Dart Paragon, and if you guys don't know how to make it, well, essentially these Paragons have degrees to them, and so the higher the degree of the Paragon, the more DPS it does, and the way that you get to a higher degree is dependent on the money that you spend on the towers that are sacrificed, so how much money you have spent on your darts, and also how many hits or how many pops do these darts have. So that's why I place my 2 crossbow masters towards the start so they can get a little bit of pops in, and that's basically it. Now when I transform my Paragon, it's gonna be like degree, I don't know, like degree 29 I think. We're gonna see in a second, but here we go. Yeah, it's degree 29, right? So that's not the best thing, but it's obviously more than enough. Moving my super build to follow this thing. Don't forget to use the abilities, use your abilities together. And as you guys can see, like, this is not even an issue at this point. Like, we're doing tons of damage, but again, buying more DPS, so I think I'm gonna sell the farms, and we're gonna get the Boomerang Paragon as well. Now that thing is gonna be degree number 1, but we don't care about that because it does a ton of damage. So you get the Boomerang Paragon, and that is pretty much it. Although I bought some more towers, but I don't think you need them. That's why I said it's a little bit of an overkill. But something that we're gonna do right now is a support temple, and I did this not because I needed it, but because I wanted to show you guys how to do it and what's basically the point of this. So when you get a support temple, the thing that this does is, and what do we mean by a support temple, is a temple that has support sacrifices in it. And so what the support sacrifices do is they provide buffs to the nearby towers, and these buffs are a damage buff, an attack speed buff of 20% and a range increase. So how do you do this? Well, you want to have your super monkey outside of the range of the VTSG, or rather the VTSG to be outside the sacrifice range of your super monkey. And the reason why I want to do this is because if you have the VTSG in the range of the temple, then it's gonna sacrifice the VTSG, so you need to be careful with this. You want to sacrifice, we're only doing support, so you want to sacrifice over 50,000 of support towers worth. So I had a couple of farms and I bought the spike factory, which, you know, we don't care at this point, we have a lot of money. So I just sacrificed that and I bought the range afterwards. And so when you buy the range, the VTSG comes inside of the range of this support temple and it benefits from this insane, you know, the damage buff and the attack speed and the range buff, right? So that is why I did. I want to show off to you guys how to do this, because this is in this run it's not particularly important, but we might get, you know, some future Elite Bloonarius maps or something like that where you're gonna need the extra little bit of DPS. So this is just how to do it. And that is it. That is Elite Bloonarius. And even though, you know, it might be scary for some people, you think it's hard, this is actually a very easy thing to do. If you have farmed properly throughout the game, there is nothing that you cannot do or nothing that you cannot buy. So that's it. That's this week's Elite Bloonarius guide. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.